A Philippine court will hand down its verdict tomorrow on 101 people accused of masterminding the country's worst political massacre. 58 people were brutally murdered 10 years ago in November 2009 when armed men ambushed their convoy.
They were relatives and supporters of local politician Ismail Mungadato. Buena Bernal speaks to the families left behind.
Grace Morales visits her husband's grave almost weekly for the past 10 years. Her husband, Rosel, a local reporter, was buried here with a dozen more journalists in a cemetery in the southern city, General Santos. They were all victims of a massacre 10 years ago, one of the world's mass killings of journalists, at a hill more than 100 kilometers away from the city, here in the sleepy town of Ampatuan, where the massacre is named after. On November 23, 2009, a convoy of vehicles was stopped by 100 armed men and brought to the massacre site where we are headed. Their bodies and vehicles were buried by perpetrators in an attempt to hide the mass murder. The victims' bodies were buried using a backhoe. 58 men and women, 32 of whom were journalists, were gunned down in this site in what is now known as the world's single deadliest attack on journalists and the worst election-related violence in a country where local political rivalries are often marked by guns and goons. Leaders of the powerful Ampatuan family have been charged with organizing the killing in November 2009 in a bid to crush an election challenge from a rival clan. Even before the massacre, the suspects have been suspected of brutal murders of their opponents, but rarely, if at all, charged in court for fear of retaliation. Over the years, witnesses in the Ampatuan massacre cases had also been gunned down. The inhumanity is what sticks out to this day for families left behind.
Yung mata niya, nakaluwa. Basag yung dito. Putol yung dito niya. Ang daming tama sa katawan. Dito sa paa. Hindi ko na maano kung saan. Basta yung parang ano lang sa akin, yung na-register lang sa akin, nakaluwa yung mata niya. Nung tiningnan ko siya, umagos ba nga yung tubig mula dun sa mata niya. Tapos, ang dami ng mga langgam. Nilanggam na eh.
Lawyer Nena Santos, legal counsel to the victim's kin, knows all 58 by name, whose bodies, she said, were turned into a dartboard with some 17 to 30 gunshot wounds. She is hopeful for a conviction of at least the principal accused tried in the first wave of cases over the massacre. Some 80 are still at large.
I still believe on the justice system. Otherwise, if there's no more faith on the judiciary, then there will be lawlessness in our country. No more rule of law. So I believe that the case is not that long, considering the experience we have in the Philippine setting, but nonetheless, the inordinate delay comes from the accused, actually.
The lawyer says the prosecution rested its case 3 years after the case was filed in 2009. But the indiscriminate filing of pleadings and motions by the defense led to the delay. She, along with witnesses, have also been the subject of counter charges filed by the Ampatuan camp. Children left behind by the victims have since grown up.
Kung magbibigyan ako ng pagkakataon, siya pa rin yung gusto kong maging ina next time. Always na sinasabi sa akin to na bawat tama sa mundo daw mayroong mali. So, try to eliminate those wrong things. Kaya always niya, kahit magkamali ka man, always keep fighting. Then, huwag ka talagang mag-give up. Kasi, soon na mag-give up ka, lahat ng mga pinapangarap mo, mag-give up na rin. Kaya always ka lang na mag-keep straight and forward kahit anong mangyari.
Mrs. Morales has turned to gardening as a way to deal with the death of her husband, weeding out every wilted leaf. Her garden now in full bloom. As victims like her await the court ruling, she says a conviction may not erase the hurt, but it would at least tell the world that even in a country where the wheels of justice turn rather slowly, the law will eventually get to you. Buena Bernal, CNA, Southern Philippines.